Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight with your award-winning host, Dale Davidson. Dale interviews fascinating guests from top-ranked celebrities to people just like you who have an important story to tell. For more than 15 years, Dale has broadcast every week from the fabulous Las Vegas Strip. He finds the people who really make Las Vegas a one-of-a-kind city and lets the world know just what's happening in this remarkable town. You'll discover why 50 million people visit the entertainment capital of the world every year. Stay tuned for another exciting episode of Las Vegas Tonight.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. What an honor it is to have Rachael Richardson with us today. She's got a fascinating story, a terrific book, which we'll talk about in a minute, and a wonderful smile. Get a load of that smile. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Dale.
Okay, Rachael.
You.
Yeah. When I heard your story, I was just amazed and so pleased. And I want to encourage people to do what you did, which was reach out to me on social media. And she told me her story, and I said, get over here. We want to put you on the show. So you can find me on under my name, Dale Davidson, on all social media that you can think of. And, of course, my website is vegassaints.org. And I put my phone number up each and every show, which people are amazed. Why do you do that? But I've never had a problem. 702-480-3989. So if you have an idea, if you have a friend that's got a story like Rachael has to tell today, give me a call. Let me know. So, Rachael, first of all, great book. I really enjoyed it. It's called Beautiful From Pit to Purpose. How about that? How long ago did you write your book?
Maybe 3 months.
That's it?
Yeah, it hasn't been long.
Wow.
It's been in the process, though, for years. But,
oh, yeah. Thanks for letting us help launch it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for launching it.
Oh, you bet. You're from Reno originally?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about growing up in Reno. What was that like?
Small, right? Everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody knew my family, so it was actually pretty beautiful.
Oh, that's nice. You have siblings?
I don't. I'm an only child. My mother has no more children. My father has no more children, so I'm
Wow, you're it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You're the central part of the Richardson clan, that's for sure. You have a fascinating life story. I'm going to just kind of shut up and let you tell it. From, when you were a little girl all the way up till now, you've had one thing after another and really have been through some tough times, but your faith is strong. You're a woman of God. You really love to help other people, and that's why we want to have you on. You're a great example.
Beautiful. I appreciate that, Dale.
Yeah. So tell us about growing up and all that.
Well, growing up, again, I'm mixed, and I talk about it in the book.
Yeah,
Being
sure.
of mixed heritage, I'm black and I'm white, and my mother has a very, very prominent family in Nevada. My Uncle Ernest was the first police officer killed in the line of duty,
boy.
My great-great-great-great-grandmother, well, 4 greats. I am the 5th generation,
Right.
and my children are the 6th generation, and now my grandchildren are the 7th generation.
Wow.
So,
all Nevadans.
Absolutely.
Wow,
so,
good for you. You're the one.
Yes, I am the one, actually.
Yeah.
So hearing about growing up, hearing about my great-great-great-great-grandmother and grandfather being the first people ever married by Brigham Young in the Mormon Church.
Wow.
That was a big deal.
Wow.
Growing up, hearing about my great-great-great-great-grandma being the first white baby born after Clark County was, after the railroad sale, after Clark County became the county.
Yeah.
I heard all the stories of my family growing up, and again, that's my mother's side, which happens to be white, and then my dad's side is black. So I heard all the amazing stories. So originally, I'm in McAllister, and the McAllister clan is very huge. Fresno, Madera, Chowchilla, Reno, kind of in that area.
Okay.
So I heard amazing, folklore growing up, and I didn't realize how important it was until I got older. And
What a history.
Wow, yeah.
What a history. And then you went to high school in Reno?
I did. I went to Worcester High School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I also went to Clark High School out here, too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then you moved down here and then you moved back up? Is that what happened?
Quite often. So my mother was in the casino industry. My grandfather used to own the Boulder Club until it was burnt down and the Horseshoe took it over.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So one of my grandmothers was the first woman she was the first blackjack dealer with the Jerry's Nugget. So the casinos have always been in my family, always.
Yeah.
So anytime there was a new casino opening up, whether it was Reno, Sparks, Las Vegas, my family always moved, whether it was my mom, my Aunt Diane, my cousin Arian, and I. We were constantly moving back and forth to open up these casinos and to help our grandparents out, basically, to get these things up and running and make sure they got off the ground properly. So we moved a lot.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your growing up years. Did you have a normal, happy childhood, or were there problems?
Lots of problems. So again, being of mixed heritage, my mother's family had a very steep reputation to uphold. And it came whitewashed, right? So I was a black child. And so the story goes that when my grandmother Margaret saw me and she realized I was black, she dropped me. And so they put my mother out. My mother was put out of her home at about 18 years old. But then my father's side of the family, the McAllisters, Ben and Ella, told my mother, no, you're going to come in here. You're going to graduate. So they took my mother and me in when I was first born. It made my mother graduate, made my mother, she worked, she was a waitress. But again, it was a family affair, right? We had to get through school. You have to have a job. There were, still standards to uphold. So it was a very difficult childhood, if I may, because I was never black enough for most and I was never white enough for all. So it became something that everywhere I went was like, who are you? What are you? Can I feel your hair? Can I touch your, because back then, even in the 80s, you were either black or white. Now everybody's so diverse and beautiful, you don't know what anybody is.
That's right.
So it's a little different. But back then, it was very like, especially in Reno, right?
Yeah.
And Reno was the same way. You were either black or you were white. And so being a mixed kid was kind of like very alien, very foreign to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so, again, it was a rough childhood. Casinos bring a lot of alcoholism, a lot of addiction, a lot of, whether it be to gambling or to cocaine or whatever
drugs
it was.
And alcohol.
Absolutely. So it brought a lot of addiction into our home. It brought a lot of trauma. A lot of the men that came in and out of the home were very abusive to my mom. So I just saw some things that kids shouldn't do. Shouldn't. And then things I swore I'd never do and just ended up doing because it's all I knew.
Yeah. And it's a tough place to grow up, Nevada, in a lot of ways. My youngest son, we raised here, and he had struggles as well. He's turned out to be terrific. He's a golf pro now. He's got a great life and a couple of wonderful kids and a terrific wife. But sometimes it's hard. There's so much temptation that's constantly there, and there's gang activity, there's drug sales, there's all this kind of stuff going on, and they need people like you and me, if I can talk about our show, to point the right way, which you're doing especially with your work with Hope for Prisoners and what you're doing now. But let's talk about how you got involved with Hope for Prisoners, because you got to be a prisoner to get help from Hope for Prisoners. So tell us that story, if you don't mind.
So in 1998, I was at a party and I shot a gun in the air, and the bullet it ricocheted off a sign in Sparks, we were at the Green Bray bowling alley, and a friend of ours had graduated from UNR. And it was obviously a big deal, right? And we were hardly graduating high school at that time, much less college, and so it was a big deal. And so we ended up going to this party. I shot a gun in the air. The bullet ricocheted off a sign, the bowling alley sign, and ended up killing my uncle. So his name was Maurice McAllister. He was the town barber. We called him Pinky, Uncle Pinky. Right. And ultimately, I went to jail. I was 21 years old. It was 5 days before my daughter's 5th birthday. And when I went to jail, we just thought I'd get out. David Stanton was my district attorney at the time, and he just kept, Rachel meant to kill somebody. Even if it was an accident that her uncle caught that bullet, she meant to kill somebody. She meant to kill somebody. And the jury believed him, obviously, because they found me guilty of second-degree murder with the use of a deadly weapon. Judge Palaha, at the time, who was my judge, overturned that verdict because he said, I heard the same evidence you heard. There was pain on the tip of the bullet. Every witness said she would never kill a fly. Like, what are we doing? How do we convict this woman of murder? And he overturned it, and he ended up sending me home with my kids for Christmas. I did plead guilty to manslaughter. I didn't want to take my family back through the pain and the trauma of a trial again. Right. And I was still very close to my family. They all forgave me. His mother, Ella, that's who took my mom in, when she was originally put out. Sure. She made it very clear, we've already lost my son, my only son. I do not want to lose my granddaughter. Like, it became, it became traumatizing for the family. So I did plead guilty to manslaughter. I got probation, and then all hell broke loose, to be honest, Dale. I was free on the outside, which I talk about in the book, but on the inside, my uncle had 6 children, and they were my cousins, and we were a big, very close-knit family, and so all the family gatherings, all the family events, I could not show up. I've been showing up for 21 years. How do you not show up all of a sudden?
Right.
So I had to be there, and I wanted to be there because I wanted them to know how grateful I was that they loved me and forgave me. But the guilt that I carried from, this accident really drove me into doing things I said I wouldn't. I've seen my mother deal with addiction my whole life, and I swore I would never touch alcohol. Well, next thing I know, I'm at the bar getting triple shots of Hennessy.
Right.
So, it became patterns that to numb, really. I ended up a complete drug addict. Though my kids had been given back to me, I gave my children up again. And then that's really when I realized, too, the love that my mother had for me. Because growing up as a young girl, you think, why doesn't my mom want me? I'm her only child. Why doesn't she want me?
Yeah.
But I really realized in my addiction how important it was to keep my children safe. How important it was to make sure that they couldn't see what I went through. How important it was that they didn't have to deal with the abuse that I was giving myself and receiving myself. And
Sure.
I really realized the love that my mother had for me in that moment. And I was able to love my children enough to put them in a safe place with my own family so that I could battle these demons. And ultimately, they were demons to be battled. But when I was going to kill myself, because I felt that was the end of the road.
Really?
That was the only way out for me, right? There was no way to get away from the fact that I've taken the life of the only man who had bought my children diapers and never asked for anything in return, right? The only man who loved me, fought for me, defended me, and didn't want sex. The only man who would stick up for me and show up for me, any hour, any time. And so it was just very hard to shake that guilt. And I was going to pick up 400 ecstasy pills, and Victory Outreach was there. And that it is a church that reaches gang members, drug addicts, alcoholics, the down and outs, the prostitutes.
It's a great church.
Amazing church. And they were doing a car wash. I wasn't going to church. I was going to the Connect's house. But I was new in Vegas at the time, because I thought, well, maybe if I leave Reno, which is where the accident happened and everybody knows my family, maybe if I come to Vegas, that's a lot bigger, everybody won't be like, oh, that's Pinky's niece.
Start over, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was hoping. But everywhere I went, I was. And because I was there, the pain was there too. And so I just thought ending it all would be the only way. And man, God showed up at a car wash. And I talk about that in the book too. God literally showed up at a car wash. A young man with a teardrop tattoo came up to me, and now mind you, I'm just trying to use the payphone so I could pick these 400 ecstasy pills up and kill myself. I've already written a letter that said, if you find this, I'm dead. My kids go to my mom, who was a drug addict at the time, but I'd rather them go to her than to be separated with their 2 fathers, and this whole thing. And ultimately, there was a young man with a teardrop tattoo, and
which means he killed somebody.
Absolutely, Dale.
Right.
You got this, Dale. Please. So, and God knows who to use to get you where He wants you to be. Yeah. And nobody else could have spoke the message of redemption to me, because when I was in jail, I served God. I mean, both of my families, even my grandma and Geraldine Stuckey and my grandma Margaret, I was raised in the Lutheran church on the white side, and I was raised Apostolic Pentecostal on the black side. So God was always in the picture. I just didn't know how much I needed God or grace or anything at the time. But when I went to jail, I served God. I prayed for women. They called me the church lady. We went out to the tier every night at 9 o'clock. I saw that.
You talk about that in your book.
Yes. So I served God. So to get out and turn my back on Him, I just thought God could never, ever, ever forgive me. And so the only way to get out of that was death, physical death, I thought. And when that young man who had that teardrop tattoo said, there's no pit so deep that God's arm is too short to pull you out of, I knew that He knew, and I believed Him. And ultimately, I ended up at Victory Outreach, and my whole life changed. So that's how I became, that's how I found hope for this prisoner.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And Victory Outreach, as we mentioned, I've seen so much good work done by that church, and they do. They reach out to convicts. They reach out to addicts. They reach out to gang members. It's outstanding what they're doing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Hope for Prisoners. We've had John Ponder on the show, and he's famous for what he's been able to do. In fact, we ran a clip of him being introduced by President Trump in the Rose Garden at the White House.
Beautiful.
And he says, "You don't look like a criminal to me," which is something that he would say. But it's outstanding what he did, and you went to work there.
I did. So
Yeah.
originally about 15 years ago, John and I are chaplains together, and that's where I met him. Well,
okay.
we spoke on stages together. Me and
Yeah.
John just had a great friendship. And so originally when he was over off of Flamingo, I just volunteered for Hope for Prisoners.
Yeah.
And I had a youth organization at the time called A New Beginning, and the community called it Hope for Youth because it was reaching young people that were in the system, and he was reaching, grown-ups. And so John and I have had a great relationship. So I was a mentor. I've just always been involved with Hope for Prisoners. So when the opportunity came up to be able to physically work there, I jumped on it. I did workforce development over there. I was a workforce development specialist. So my job was to go in the community and find the people jobs, go speak to business owners, go speak to, decision makers and get these people a second chance, get them opportunities. So
and you did a good job because that's going on all over the city.
Yes.
Way to go. You have a great legacy over there.
Thank you.
God bless you for doing that work. We're going to need to take a brief break. When we come back, I want to talk some more to Rachael, not only about her book and her experiences, but what people who are in trouble now or in a jam of one kind or another can do, especially by knowing Jesus, which I know you have a great testimony for that. We're going to be back with Rachael Richardson right after this. The Lord has made it possible for our show, Las Vegas Tonight, to thrive. We've produced well over 300 episodes telling the remarkable stories of Christians who have set out to change the world for the better. It's my honor to lead this ministry. As the founder of Dale Wynne Davidson Ministries, I'm commanded to be a good steward of all the donations our partners have so generously provided to us. As you can imagine, it takes a great deal of money to keep this program on the air in the United States and around the world. Please prayerfully consider making a one-time donation or becoming a monthly partner of Dale Wynne Davidson Ministries. Just go to vegassaints.org and select Make a Donation, or send your check or money order made out to Dale Wynne Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada 89117. For more information, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you. Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. My very special guest is Rachael Richardson. I'm going to hold her book up again. It's called Beautiful, From Pit to Purpose. Tell me why you selected that as your title.
Because there's a song and it says something beautiful, something beautiful, something good. All of my confusion he understood. When all I had to offer him was brokenness and strife, he made something beautiful out of my life. So that just stuck with me.
That's
from
sweet.
Like kids get like from the children's church, and so he just took all my brokenness and made it beautiful. So.
Oh yeah, and you're a beautiful lady inside and out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Tell me about what it was like to come back to church. I mean, I'm assuming you went away when you got addicted and that sort of thing. But when did joy hit your heart? It must have been a specific time.
Yep,
huh?
August 22nd, so 8/21/01, August 21st, 2001.
Right.
I drugged myself to the altar, and there was a gentleman by the name of Ron Foresta who was preaching, and he was in the men's home, but he was getting ready to go do federal time, and the title of his sermon at the time was called "Don't Count the Days, Make the Days Count," and it was like I immediately had flashbacks of being in my jail cell, ticking off the days, in my just hoping, knowing that when I go to trial, I'm going to go home, knowing I was innocent, knowing I could never be found guilty for an accident. And it just, God just brought all these things back to remembrance. And again, I made that altar call and I never looked back, Dale. God has been so faithful. My children were restored. So yes, on August 21st, 2001, my whole life changed.
Tell me about your kids. You got a Paso. Tell me about them.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. So my oldest daughter, I was telling Terry too that I heard her heartbeat on an abortion table. I was pregnant at 15 years old, very
Wow.
confused and lonely in Reno, trying to figure out, oh my God, what do I do with a kid? I'm still a kid. I'm an only child. I had never changed diapers before. I had no
were scared.
idea. I was
Yeah.
so scared.
Yeah.
But what I did know is heartbeats mean people. That doesn't mean a sack of sales. So I was, I was wise enough to understand that hearing a heartbeat meant that this was further along than just a sack of multiplying cells, which is kind of how they tried to push it on me.
Yeah.
And upon hearing that heartbeat, I got up, I ran out of there, and I stopped. I stopped at the Kmart and I stole 2 pregnancy tests, and I went home and I knew I was pregnant already. I was shaking so bad my mother had to hold the stick under my urine because I already knew I was pregnant. It didn't even matter what I knew because I just heard a heartbeat. She didn't know that, but I knew.
Yeah.
And that pregnancy test brought me and my mother closer together than anything else. And so again, at 15
And she was
years
okay, and
old,
she supported you.
she was well.
in your decision.
Yeah, and again, in my family, abortion's not an option, right?
Yeah.
And I was raised to know that. That's why I had to do it without anybody's permission, because I was raised to know abortion is not an option.
Yeah.
You lay, you pay, is what my grandma Ella would say.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence. You can't take life because you don't give life. And so I've heard these things growing up my whole life until I'm finally the one trying to figure out what to do with this life inside me at 15, and I'm going, oh my God. And I'm hearing all the voices that have always spoke life to me, but I'm thinking my life is over. And ultimately it was not. I am now a grandmother of children. I have grandchildren now. I have 4 grandchildren, but 3 from her. She's a missionary in South Africa with her husband.
Wow.
So just what God can do when you just don't have the abortion is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, that's a great testimony.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I always tell people when I talk to young girls too, I remind them that now had the 15-year-old Rachel knew, I would have never had to go to the clinic, but I didn't know. But I'm telling you now that 20, 30 years from now, you'll be a grandmother and you'll be grateful that you kept that child. And so they just, it just gives me a way to connect with more people. I just know that everything I've been through, Dale, it gives me an end to connect with more people.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. We just finished literally just finished an interview with Deborah Costello, who's the executive director of First Choice Pregnancy Services here in town. And you are a wonderful example of somebody who said yes to their own child and live to be a grandma. And what a great thing that is.
Great thing. And I have a son who is, so my daughter's 33, my son is 28. He just had a daughter himself. She's 5 months.
Wow.
And so, and then I have one who's a missionary in Amsterdam. She's 19.
Oh.
And then I have 2 left in the home. So I have an 11-year-old and I have one who will be 16 next month, literally a month from yesterday. He'll be 16. But even with those last 2, with my son, with my oldest son who's 28, his father was a pimp. So I was working at Wet n Wild during the day and Cheetah's at the strip club at night because that's what Vegas offers.
Yeah.
And so his father was literally a pimp, Dale. So even that one was do you keep the baby, do you not? But it wasn't optional then either. I was older, and when I got locked up, he was he had just been born, so maybe 8, 9 months. So he was very young when I first, when I caught my case. And then my other ones, Elizabeth, who's in Amsterdam now, and then my younger ones with CJ, they told me he had trisomy 13, and they had approved it a medical termination for me, they said.
Yes.
They said he will be so deformed, his quality of life will be nothing. If he lives to be 1, the burden on the family will be so heavy financially and otherwise that it's just in your best interest to terminate this pregnancy. Your insurance has already approved a medical termination for you, so you don't have to worry about the stress of having to get them. I said, well, hold on. If this baby doesn't jump out of the womb and give up on me, I'm not giving up on this baby. Now, that young man will be 16 years old, and he is healthy as an oxdale. Not only did he live, but he has given us all the
He is
struggles.
eating you out of house and home.
Yes, and he is perfectly healthy, not a medication in him. So, again, the things that God will do when we trust him and not man. And our daughter, they thought that our 11-year-old, they thought I had cancer. I was scheduled for a hysterectomy on March 11th, but I had an asthma attack when I was 37 on March 7th. So when I was 37 on 3/7, I had an asthma attack and ended up in the emergency room. Now, mind you, 3-4 days later, I was scheduled to have a hysterectomy. They would have scraped my uterus. I would have never known I was pregnant. But they told me in that asthma attack at that emergency room, ma'am, do you know you're pregnant? And I said, no, I'm actually about to have her hysterectomy. I thought I had a tumor. I thought I had cancer. And she's like, no, you're pregnant. So our daughter's name is Heaven Sent. Her middle name is Sent. Heaven Sent Richardson, Dale.
I saw her name in there, and I wonder, how did she get the name
That's
Heaven?
right. So nobody can tell me anything about our God, because I am thoroughly convinced that he not only looks out for us, but he looks out for our children. And it's the greatest, the greatest adventure of my life is being saved and allowing God to drive.
Wow, that's a wonderful thing. All your children have come to Christ?
All of them. I was just talking to my oldest son earlier. He married his wife, and they eloped. And I'm very close to my son.
Yeah.
And I said, "What? You didn't even tell me you got married?" And he was like, "Mom, I had to put it under covenant." I said, okay, Mr. Okay, well, put it under covenant. Yeah, it just reminded me that when we train our children up in the way that they should go, even when they grow old and they kind of stray, they're not going to depart from it. He had a daughter with this woman, and, he said, no, I had to get this thing right. If I want to really be a father, and especially because his father was a pimp, right? He had plenty of girlfriends, plenty of children. His whole life could have went any type of way, but God, but God, but God. And so he looked at me dead in my face and was like, this is not about you. I had to put this thing under covenant. And I was like, that's what the priest of the home does.
Wow.
So yes. So
wow. Isn't that
all of my children
absolutely true?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see the joy in your face when you talk about your kids.
Yeah.
What a great blessing that is.
Yes.
And tell me about your husband.
Yeah, so my husband, we met in the church, and interestingly enough, we dated about 7 months, but we didn't even kiss before we were married, because he's another man. He's another priest of the home who puts things under covenant. And at our rehearsal dinner, my pastor was like, okay, you're going to walk up here, and you're going to, and then the bridesmaids, and and I pronounce you man and wife, you may kiss the bride. And we just started cracking up like teenagers. And my pastor looked at my husband and goes, brother, don't tell me you haven't kissed her. My husband was like, no, pastor, I haven't kissed her. And so I have goosebumps even saying it, because now it's been almost 22 years now.
Oh,
so, but we didn't even kiss before we were married.
Wow.
And,
that's the first time I've ever heard that.
That is our testimony.
In all the interviews I've done and talked about, couples, that's the first time I've ever heard it.
It's a beautiful thing.
He meant it, huh?
He did. And now when I mentor young girls, though, I'm able to tell them, I'm not worried about him cheating on me, because he didn't cheat with me.
Wow.
So it makes, again, everything I've been through just makes the testimony of Jesus Christ that much more powerful, because it's truth. My grandma would say, if he loves you, he'll wait. And I would say, Grandma, if I make him wait, he's going to leave. Well, this one waited, Dale, and he ain't left yet. It's been over 2 decades, and now our children have had an example. Exactly, but our children have had an example now of a man who sticks around. Through good, bad, ugly, and different, richer or poor, sickness or health, he has been a living epistle for our children to read. So much so that our son, who's not his biological son, but our son, who would have been under the generational curse, if I may, of his own father, was able to see my husband's exampleship and go, no, I need to put this thing under covenant. I know the blessings of the Lord are going to, the blessings of the Lord will overtake me and add no sorrow if I do this thing right. Yeah. And he was able to exemplify that for our children. So I'm grateful for him.
Wow.
He's amazing.
Well, God bless him and God bless you.
Yes.
And especially we need to talk about men that raise children that aren't theirs. They are people of God.
Yes.
And it's an honor to know him.
Yeah.
I've got one of those myself. My youngest, I call my bonus son, because my wife was a widow, and when we married, she brought a 10-year-old with her, and he's as much my son, and he's as much a brother to my sons that you could possibly ever have.
Absolutely. We don't call them stepdads. We call them stepped up dads, because they were the ones who stepped up. You guys are the ones who stepped up, Dale.
Yeah.
You said, you know what? Not on my watch. I'm going to make sure that these children are raised, and they're going to be raised properly.
Yeah. I remember having a meeting with him early on, and we bumped heads some because all of a sudden this guy's in his mother's
Especially
life.
The boys.
Oh yeah. And I said, I don't know why the Lord brought me into your life. I'll never be your biological father, but he wants me to mentor you, wants me to be your friend, and I want to do everything I can to do that. And now he calls me Pops. We see each other all the time and talk every day, and it's completely different than it could have gone.
Yeah.
And
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're grateful. Us moms who have children, we're grateful for men like you and my husband Channing, who are able to see beyond and just go, you know what, I love you, and whatever comes with you.
Yeah. Tell me about the youth ministry that you were involved with, and are you still doing that?
Well, it was called A New Beginning.
Right.
And all the youth are grown now.
Okay.
And it
They
actually
aged
started,
out.
They did, yes.
Yeah.
And it actually started because of the need in the community at the time. I go to Victory Outreach,
Right.
and there's a lot of church kids who nonetheless have parents that were gang members, drug addicts, prostitutes,
Right, yeah.
the down and outs. And so though we want them not to go that direction, we don't always know how to steer them in another direction
Yeah.
because we're still getting discipled ourselves.
Yeah,
And so
sure.
I saw a lot of the church kids falling through the cracks and joining gangs and, selling drugs and doing all these things. So we
Yeah.
started this youth program called A New Beginning. We got really heavily involved when Jack Martin was over the juvenile justice system.
Okay, yeah.
He was amazing. Fritz didn't work with us so much, so we prayed him out of there, I believe. But Jack Martin was amazing. He
Yeah.
really, really bought in, and we were able to just change a lot of lives and keep a lot of young people from, and the whole goal was through the summertime to keep them out of prison and keep them from dying. And that's what we did. We were able to give them jobs. We had a cleaning company called God's Way Cleaning, doing it right from beginning
heard
to
of that.
end.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was and we taught the kids how to clean furniture, how to clean carpets. We would do trash outs at the time, and we had an online store, so we showed them how to list online. We literally were able to help them to create their own e-commerce stores. So now they were able to sell now you don't have to wait for anybody to give you a job. So what if they tell you no? You take your old shoes, you put them online, and then you buy your new shoes. Like, it was just such a, light bulb for them. And so it was called A New Beginning, and again, it just allowed for them to just make it. Now they're parents, and I work with some now, and I see them, and in the community they still call me moms, and like they call you
sweet.
pops. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
that's
yeah,
right.
so they're parents now, and they're just productive citizens and doing their thing, and it's a blessing to know that you're able to impact lives that otherwise could have went in another direction.
Yeah, just one of many what I call street level ministries here in town
Yes.
that are actually being the hands and feet of Jesus Christ here on earth. You talk about the fatherhood. Do you know Michael Hatch? Pastor Michael
Pastor
Hatch
Hatch, yeah.
is a good friend of mine, and I think he's been a guest more than anybody on my show. He's my buddy. He's my pastor, and I really love him. But he's got a fatherhood initiative where he is trying to get those who are incarcerated now to go back and be a husband, be a father, be a mentor. And he often invites me to come to their graduations and MC and things like that. And the mayor and other people show up, which is inspiring. That's one thing about this town. We need all the help we can get.
Yeah.
That's why I say we're such a churched community. We need them.
Yeah, definitely.
But to be able to stand there with the mayor and council people and commissioners and police officers and everybody and people like yourself, and to say, we believe in you, and we believe that you can help solve this problem because you believe in Christ. It's just amazing. It fills my heart up.
And it reminds me, too, that they know, too, that the answer is Jesus, right? The blood that forgives, the blood that redeems. They know the answer is Jesus. Even if they can't say it out loud because of church and state, they know what the answer is. And I'm grateful that they stand with organizations who stand for Christ, too, because we need them. We need the government buy-in. If we don't have the city commissioners, county commission, if we don't have the higher-ups buy-in, then everything we do is just going to fall to the wayside anyway.
That's right.
So I'm very grateful that we have a city who backs
It's a
it up.
wonderful thing. Wow, Rachael is such a terrific guest. You're going to want to stick around. We have another segment with her, I'm so happy to say. We'll be back with Rachael Richardson right after this. Welcome back. I'm Dale Davidson, your host on Las Vegas Tonight. Rachael Richardson is our guest. She has written a book called Beautiful, From Pit to Purpose. And it's a beautiful cover. I like it. It's very nice. And you should buy this book. You'll be inspired by her life story. She's overcome everything from being accused of murder to being a great example of what a Christian woman looks like. You're it. Yeah.
Proverbs 31, that's my goal.
I was just going to say that. Isn't that something? Do you think that Proverbs 31 is a reasonable goal for women to have? It is so demanding, it seems to me.
It is. But you know what? At the end of the day, if we, my grandma would always say, if you shoot for the moon and you hit the stars, you're still winning. So, if you strive to be, and again, I pretty much just strive to be clothed with strength and dignity, and everything else falls into place. My children rise up and call me blessed. My husband calls me blessed. I'm blessed in the marketplace. You know what I mean? But the ultimate goal is just to be clothed with strength and dignity, and God does the rest.
Wow. Speaking of the marketplace, you've got an exciting career going now. And tell me about the company. Tell me how they came into Las Vegas, how you hooked up with them. Tell me all about it.
Absolutely. So I'm the executive assistant at La Host Beauty.
La Host Beauty.
Yep. Yeah. LEHOST. La Host Beauty.
Yeah.
And it's literally a Christian organization,
right.
And that's why it's called La Host, because we host the host with the most. But in saying that, they came from Detroit. Haith and Henry Johnson were out in Detroit, Michigan, and Mike Pence and Karen Pence actually found them for the work that they do with veterans.
Wow.
Wow. So we do a lot.
Senator Pence.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he was vice president at the time.
He was vice president.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they had an initiative to find companies that were helping vets, and they were helping vets with hair loss because we deal with a lot of patients, cancer patients, alopecia, MS, lupus, people, PTSD, people who are, suffer extreme hair loss. And so they were doing great work out there. They got recognized by the president and the vice president. And then Walmart, they put in an open call for Walmart, and Walmart chose their products to be, on their shelves, 1,100 different Walmarts in 35 different states.
Wow.
They had the ability to move to any Walmart in the country. They chose the Walmart out in North Las Vegas. So I always say God brought them here just for me.
That's so great.
So it is. And so they've been out here about 3 years now. And now we're over at the South Premium Outlet Mall off of Las Vegas Boulevard.
I know exactly where that is.
And so we've closed down the Walmart location in order to, because it was about 800 square feet, but over here we have a 3,000 square foot storefront.
Wow.
It's just a beautiful store where women are able to come in, and men, but primarily women come in to get healing and restoration and hair, hair and anything that has to do with hair. And so it's an amazing place to work. The owners are absolutely open to the whole Hope for Prisoners. That's how I met them originally, was on a prayer call. But then I asked them, hey, I have a couple hopefuls who are doing hair out of their house, and they're just really interested in the beauty industry. And Haith Johnson was like, send them my way. And so they started hiring our hopefuls over at Hope for Prisoners. And the opportunity came up for me to come over here and be an executive assistant. And she said, you know what, if you can come over here and manage the hopefuls, you can hire them. And so I was able to go over there and give formerly incarcerated, women jobs. And that's my passion anyway. Wow. So just a beautiful, beautiful
What
company.
a nice connection.
Yes.
And that's a divine connection, isn't it?
Divine, yes.
Yeah, what a
so divine.
What a blessed thing. And obviously it's okay for you to share when you're talking to customers and talking to employees, to share Christ with them.
Absolutely. So they call it the Marketplace Ministry, and there are 5 different salon stations because it's a wig boutique now. It's not just any wig store, Dale. It's a wig boutique. So you come in and you get a wig, or you get a topper, or you get extensions, but everything is fitted on you. We have licensed cosmetologists on staff, so they'll face frame, they'll do a bang trim. You're not just buying wigs and walking out the door.
Right.
We're literally empowering women to be their beautiful selves. And so, everything is right there on deck. Well, on each center, on each station, on the mirrors, there's a sign that says, if you need prayer, ask, or ask me for prayer, or I'd love to pray for you, different little things. And we have people every day asking us, can you please pray for me? Can you? And different cultures, different nationalities, different believers, a lot of Filipinos, which is kind of how we heard about this place too.
Yeah.
Just coming in.
Their studios right in the middle of literally Filipino land.
Yes.
Filipino town, it's called here.
So when they call me to say, hey, you know where we're located? Yes, I know where you're. We just came to the Filipino movie festival. So, but a lot of people, different cultures, different nationalities who not only just represent Christ, but love the Lord and are unashamed of the gospel and willing to ask for prayer. So it's a marketplace ministry, and 100% we are encouraged to pray for people and to talk about our faith.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It is.
You're in the right spot.
Yes.
And they're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Let's talk about the future of Las Vegas. Obviously, you and I have both chosen this town. We love this town. We love the people here. We especially love the 800 churches that serve Las Vegas, which is phenomenal. But we can get discouraged. We talked earlier about things that, addictions and gambling problems and prostitution and things that happen here. Tell me about your wish for Las Vegas. We want it as a show and as people here to be a destination for families where kids can grow up and be safe. What's your feeling about the future of our city?
I believe things are turning around.
Do you?
Yes, I believe that where sin abounds, the grace of God does that much more abound.
Amen.
So I never call it Sin City. I always call it Grace City. And I truly believe that we're going to see a lot of these turnarounds with the casinos. This generation's not really gambling anymore. So we're seeing a lot more sports. We're seeing a lot more shows. And I believe that has a lot to do with prayer, Dale, because you got some watchmen on the wall. You have some wailing women that are saying, no, we're not going to keep having these brothels and these strip clubs and all these things in our communities. A lot of these strip courts, the Crazy Horse was there my whole life. It's torn down now. You would never even know it ever existed. So I do see things changing. I do see God showing up, and I see this generation being the generation that says, not on my watch. We're not gonna spend our money at the casino. We're not gonna spend our money at the strip clubs. We're not gonna spend our money on debauchery. We want to go. We want to see wholesome activity. We want to see things that our families can attend. Back in the day, it was right. Everybody was at Circus. The casino pit had circus acts above you.
Yes,
like there was a time when Vegas was not as debased as it had become.
Yes.
But now things are changing, and it's a beautiful thing to see when you've lived here your whole life to be. And I'm not even 50 yet, so I can imagine people who have been around longer. My mother even is like, wow, things are so different. But I believe that there is a turning of the tide coming, and that it's going to be this generation that ushers it in.
Yeah, we had a brief time when the LVCVA, the Convention of Visitors Authority, and the leaders, the politicians and the casino owners were doing their best to turn this into a family destination. And we had theme parks and things, and Wet and Wild and, those kinds of things. And I see it coming back now. I see more of those family-oriented things, particularly and now their objection to it at that time was they're not gambling. But now when you have shows and you have food and you have other things, that you can go see, it's okay to bring your family here, and I encourage people to do that, and look for the family things that can nurture your family, and go to one of our churches.
Yeah,
there's some really good churches here.
Agreed.
Victory Outreach. Let's talk about that just a little bit more because I'm fascinated with the work they're doing everywhere. Are they financially healthy? Are they doing okay?
Well, every church, I think that's their, that's the question, right?
Isn't it?
Yeah. And when you run church like a business, then it's the business of the church. And I love Victory Outreach because they refuse to run it like a business.
Good
so
for
maybe
them.
They're not as financially healthy as some of the churches, Central Christian in different places.
Yeah.
However, they're people healthy.
Yeah.
And there are people who with different lifestyles who could never be reached at a 3,000 mega church.
Right.
You need the smaller churches, you need the quaint, you need the community, you need the sense of belonging.
Right.
And you just can't always get that from these really, really big churches. And so I do believe that God is meeting the need because they still exist. I'm with Victory Outreach Henderson City now, so there's one in Henderson now.
Oh, that's nice.
And so Pastor Reggie and Sister Hershana are out there, and that's where my daughter got launched out to Amsterdam from. And so, so I believe that every good and perfect gift comes from the Lord, and that He's the one who supplies all of the church's needs according to His riches and glory. So they're not closed, and that's really what matters. So
let's talk about those missionary kids of yours, because you got at least 2 that I heard of. What did they say when they came to you and said, "Well, I'm gonna go to South Africa and bring people to Christ," or "I'm going to Amsterdam to bring people to Christ"? Were you unalloyed excited about it, or did you have worries? I'm sending my kids off to a foreign country. What were your feelings?
The conversation more went like, no, you're going to go somewhere. You are now 18. You are a young girl who lives in Las Vegas. When our 19-year-old who's in Amsterdam now graduated, the billboards around the strip said, "Welcome 2020 class of 2025," over like cheetahs and little darlings over the totally nude strip clubs, and graduates welcome here. And so looking at our daughter, again raising our kids in Vegas,
I remember that.
I said no.
It's kind of outrageous. guys, by the way.
Very outrageous.
You know.
And I said, no, we're not. I said, you're going to go. You're going to get out of here. You're going to see another country. You're going to see greenery. You're going to see water. You're going to go. Before you get a job in the mundane, got to work, got to pay bills, you're going to do something. And she's like, you're sending me away to boarding school. Well, I just visited her last week, and she loves it. She's getting ready to do her next semester will be done in South Africa with my other daughter. Yeah. But she loves it. She's grateful that I sent her out. She couldn't have been, more pleased. She's just so grateful that she had somebody who said, no, you're not going to stay here. You're not going to stay in this debased city and become what the world wants you to become. Yeah. You're going to be all that God called you to be.
And there's some of that everywhere. Even Amsterdam, they've got their red light district. As my wife and I went and visited, and we didn't go at night. I was afraid to, but just to see, these are the windows they stand in, and that sort of thing. It goes on everywhere. Las Vegas gets a bad rap, or gets the rap it deserves, but it's elsewhere. Yeah. It's elsewhere too.
Well, it's a lot easier sometimes to preach the gospel where you're not known. Yeah. And so our kids had to come out of where they're from, just like Jesus, right? He couldn't do much in his hometown.
That's right.
But it was other places he was able to do.
You're never a prophet in your home country.
That's right. So they had to get out. And where they are now, they love, and they see the hurt, they see the need, and they also know that they have the answer, and that's what's most important.
That's wonderful. Speaking of the answer, it's hard to believe, but an hour is almost raced by. And that means we're running out of time. But I want to turn the show over to you, Rachael, and I want you to address your camera, which is right over there, if you don't mind, and talk to our audience. As I mentioned to you earlier, we've got millions of viewers around the world, including mainland China, all along the Asian Rim, and of course, all across our country. Talk to them about Jesus, why it's so important to have him in your life, and how you go about putting him in your heart.
First thing I want to say is Jesus is real. I didn't know why I needed the blood until I needed to be forgiven for killing my own uncle, and the guilt and the weight that I carried just from that sin. I didn't think about having a baby. I didn't think about the sin of premarital sex, but the sin of actually taking a life was one that I couldn't carry. And so I believed in God my whole life. I believed in God. I was raised with God, but I understood what the blood meant, when the forgiveness of the blood, the redemption of the blood, the buying back power of the blood. And so I just implore you to talk to your Heavenly Father. The Holy Spirit is there. He is your comforter. He is your way maker. He is the one who hears you. He sees every tear. He bottles them up. He knows everything you're going through. And as a matter of fact, he allows you to go through them so that you will call on him. And so it's the easiest thing ever. All you have to do, again, is just throw your hands up and go, I can't do this anymore. I don't know how to get out of it, but I know that you are the answer. You're the way, the truth, and the life, and that ultimately you did not bring me here to leave me here like this. And so I just encourage you to speak to your Father. He's waiting to hear from you just as much as you feel like you're waiting to hear from him. God, are you real? And if you are, where are you now? He's right there. He's there. He's there. He's there. He's holding you close. Every tear, the tears that are falling from your face right now, God sees, God knows, God bottles those tears up. He's been waiting for you to come home. And so just like me at that car wash, I am going to tell you that there is no pit deep down, so far down, that God's hand cannot reach down and pull you out of. It doesn't matter what you've done. I know you haven't killed your uncle. So therefore, it doesn't matter what you have done. God is still waiting. He is still available. And if you are not dead, it is not over. And every breath that you have and every breath that you take comes from a creator who not only cares about you, but created you, and created you with a plan, a purpose, and a destiny. Had you told me about 15, 25 years ago that this would be my life today, I could have never believed it. But it is my life today. And I stand here as a living epistle, the book of Rachael, to remind you that Jesus loves you. The price has already been paid for anything that you have done. And you are always more than welcome home. The Father's arms are outstretched, and he's waiting for you to run home, and he's ready to put the ring on you and kill the fatted calf and have a big party because you came home. So just call out to him today, and he answers, I promise.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Rachael Richardson has been our very special guest. Once again, her book is called Beautiful, and she certainly is in every way, inside and out. Boy, what a blessing it's been to have you on the show.
Thank you.
We invite you to please stick around. There's plenty more. We're going to have some music. There's a couple of messages we want you to have as we fill out the hour here on the Las Vegas Tonight Show. And we just love having you here. Thanks again. God bless you, and we'll be right back after this.
Some mornings I Some mornings I get up and trouble's at the door. That trouble hides the light of day. Then I think of that morning when I wake up over there in the land where troubles roll away. There won't be no need of the moon, no need of the sun. There'll never be no night. Heaven's gonna shine and a mansion will be mine. Jesus will be the light. Some morning I'll get up in that land so bright and fair. The streets of gold are gonna shine, but the reason they'll be shining and heaven will be fair is that Jesus will be the light. There won't be no need of the moon, no need of the sun. There'll never be no night. Heaven's gonna shine and a mansion will be mine. Jesus will be the light. There won't be no need of the moon, no need of the sun. There'll never be no night. Heaven's gonna shine and a mansion will be mine. Jesus will be the light.
Our world isn't perfect. Just watch the news. Evil is everywhere. Now, at the core of who we are, we all know and feel these things to be wrong. But why? Why do we agree that some actions are wrong? Where did we get our standard, the moral code that tells us good from bad? If we're creating it ourselves, free to choose what works for us, then that would make every action acceptable. Good and bad would be the same. Then people who commit heinous crimes wouldn't be guilty. They'd simply be doing what's right for them. And yet we say they're guilty. When someone murders an innocent person, it bothers us, enrages us. We hate injustice. Now, maybe we're in a game of survival of the fittest. Suffering and death simply weed out those who aren't strong enough or lucky enough to have won the genetic lottery. But if that's true, why do stories of death and destruction draw up feelings of deep disgust and hurt inside you? Why does your heart break at the news of tragedy? And why do so many other people feel the same way? Could it be that there's something more? Some greater outside force that has ingrained you with the desire for love and goodness? Suppose there's a reason behind hating the evil in the world. Suppose it leads to something greater. Could it lead to hope?
The Lord has made it possible for our show, Las Vegas Tonight, to thrive. We've produced well over 300 episodes telling the remarkable stories of Christians who have set out to change the world for the better. It's my honor to lead this ministry. As the founder of Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries, I'm commanded to be a good steward of all the donations our partners have so generously provided to us. As you can imagine, it takes a great deal of money to keep this program on the air in the United States and around the world. Please prayerfully consider making a one-time donation or becoming a monthly partner of Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries. Just go to vegassaints.org and select Make a Donation, or send your check or money order made out to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada 89117. For more information, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you. Our thanks again to Rachael Richardson, who wrote the book, of course, beautiful, and she is one beautiful woman of God. What a great guest she's been. And as I try to remember to say each and every episode of Las Vegas Tonight, when it comes to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, please walk with Him. God bless you, and thanks for watching.
Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with your host, Dale Davidson. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of our show. We so appreciate your loyalty to our program. To keep Las Vegas Tonight on the air, please go to our website, vegassaints.org, and click the Donate button. To send a check or money order, please make it out to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries and mail it to 9030 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada 89117. To suggest a guest to appear on the show or any other suggestions or questions, write to Dale at dalewdavidson@yahoo.com or call him at 702-480-3989.
Shine, Las Vegas, shine.